Students, I welcome you all on Rishikul Online School, the best platform for providing online education to students. So again, I welcome you. Students, this is module number 3, and in this module we shall discuss the chapter The Happy Prince, and it has been written by Oscar Wilde, and this chapter has been taken from your book Moments. So let's go to next slide and see. Students, in this slide we shall discuss the rest of the story and come to know what happens. So let's discuss. Next day the swallow flew to the river, had a bath and decided to leave for Egypt that night. He visited all the monuments and sat on top of the church steeple for a long time. When the moon came up, he flew back to the statue and told him that he was starting for Egypt. The happy prince urged him to stay for one more night. He wanted to help a young playwright who was trying to finish a play for the director of the theatre. So rest of the story will be discussed in the next slide. So let's move to next slide and see. Students, in this slide we shall discuss the rest of the story. So let's discuss the story. It was too cold and he was unable to write further. There was no fire in the grate and he didn't have any food either. The swallow asked if he should take another ruby to this writer. The prince sighed that he didn't have any other ruby, and so he urged the swallow to pluck out a sapphire from one of his eyes. He said that the writer would sell it and buy firewood and finish his play. The swallow began to weep and told the prince he couldn't tear away his eye. So, rest of the story will be discussed in the next slide. So, let's move to the next slide and see. Students, in this slide we shall come to know that the prince told the swallow to follow his command. Hence, the swallow plucked the prince's eye and flew to the young writer and left the sapphire on the dried flowers on his table. The playwright was filled with joy and thought that the sapphire was a gift from one of his admirers. The next day the swallow flew to the harbour and sat on the mast of a large ship, watching the sailors at work. He cried loudly that he was going to Egypt, but no one paid attention. He returned to the prince at night and said that he had come to say goodbye, but the prince managed to convince the swallow to stay back. Students, rest of the story will be discussed in the next module. So keep watching the module and wait for the next module. Thank you.